Hello, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Jobu, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, this wouldn't work. I mean, seriously, it doesn't work. And a lot of times when I'm here, it doesn't work because, well, quite frankly, I'm old and I have issues with technology. So bear with me. Understand I'm new to all this stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff here that I have to run between having this computer going on, that computer, two screens, as well as trying to read all the comments. But it is Monday night, and thank God you guys help me get through Mondays because I look forward to all day long getting here with all of my people. And thank everybody from Dallas Cowboy Talk. Dak, I suck without Zeke. Come on, man. Come. Do you really have to be like that? Do you really have to be like that? Jeff, Ryan, Manuel, Eric, David Holden, Eric, Ryan, Sandman. Sandman is always in the house. I mean, I guess it's just fun, and maybe it's just you need attention, I guess. I don't know. Maybe your mama didn't hold you enough when you were a baby, and you need me to give you some attention. It's okay, man. It's okay. But listen, my quarterback, my teammate, Mr. Ready, Raise, Rise. I know a lot of you don't believe in him. And I know a lot of you guys didn't believe in Tony Romo. I know a lot of you guys didn't believe in a lot of guys. And no matter how good or bad somebody will do, you will still have the same line. If Dak goes out, and let's say hypothetically, the Cowboys went out and won the Super Bowl next year, I guarantee there will be some people that will be saying, it wasn't Dak Prescott, it was Zeke Elliott. But I ask you this. If it's Dak Prescott is so bad, so awful, why is it in 2015 we didn't do something? We were 4-12. He took the exact same team, with the exception of Zeke Elliott being added to it, and went 13-3. Clearly, he had to do something. The amazing thing is, I tell you what, I came across this thanks to I get so many people that send me links to stuff and things like that. I got sent this link from a Carolina fan who's got a YouTube channel. And we need to start focusing in on the game because it's 68 days, 19 hours, 19 minutes, and 51 seconds before that kickoff of that game. And we have to play against the Carolina Panthers. Now, here's the strange thing. It's one of those ones that, I wonder, do we want to win that game? Because the craziest thing, one of these many crazy statistics of Jason Garrett's era, every time the Dallas Cowboys have won their first game of the season, they don't make the playoffs. Let me say it again. When the Cowboys have won their first game of the season, they miss the playoffs. Think about it. 2016, we lost to the New York stinking Giants, 13-3. Last year, we beat the New York stinking Giants, 9-7. 2015, we won our first game. Tony Romo was there against the New York stinking Giants. 2014, we lost badly to the 49ers. You'll remember that game because Tony Romo looked so far away from being an NFL quarterback that literally he could not get the ball 25 yards downfield. And that was when they realized we have to run the football because Tony can't throw. So, yeah, it's kind of crazy. So, do we really want to win in Carolina? I don't know. But let me play this clip from this guy, okay? And we'll see if he has it right about the Carolina Panthers versus the Cowboys.
Asked me when it was dropping, said never. Should have made you cut the feather, but I designed it Freemason Margiela.
What's good, Shellatron here, the most woke, no joke, and I'm back at it again with a brand new video. And today I'm going to be starting a longer series where I go over the schedule for the Carolina Panthers, all 16 games of the 2018-2019 season for the whole month of July. I'm going to be alternating days, so every other day I'm going to have a Panthers video going over the games that we have, all 16 games we have. But it's not just going to be Panthers. It's going to be all four teams in the NFC South. So the Panthers, Falcons, Saints, and Bucks. I want to get a bigger picture because it's not just we could do well in this season but still miss the playoffs if the Falcons and Saints do well, or if the Bucks, I don't know,
how you doing,
make some kind of sacrifice to whatever gods they believe in, and they start winning games out of nowhere. I don't see that happening, but I want to get a picture of how the whole division is going to do and have a good amount of discussion on not just the Panthers, but the NFC South and division as a whole. So this is going to be on the Panthers' very first week of the season when we go up against the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm going to get right into it. No more preamble.
Thank you.
This is the perfect way to start off our season. This is the perfect way to start off our season because, first of all, we're at home versus the Cowboys. Second of all, what the Cowboys do best is what our defense attacks the best, and what their offense does worst is what our defense is worst against. Their run game is really their strong point. Dak's a decent game manager type quarterback, but without Zeke establishing the run, if you put the game into Dak's hands, I don't think he has enough skill right now to really be able to take over a game himself and say, okay, no run game, I'm Dak Prescott, I can take you there by myself with these receivers. And that gets to my other point, they don't have receivers. So we're going to be working with corners and safeties that are either new to the system or really just young or not that great at not that talented of people in the secondary. Let's be real. And working against this is a good game, a good set of receivers, and even a good set of tight ends for our linebackers to work against. With us learning who's good, who we can depend on. This is a great ease into the season type of game, and we're not throwing our players to the fire for the very first game. And we're at home going up against I won't say bad receivers, but let's face it, they're one of the worst receiving corps in the NFL this year. They might turn it around, but their strength works up against our strength, and their weakness works against
Didn't we say that already?
Offensive and defensively wise. So I really do believe that we have the upper hand in this matchup. I'm looking to see who on their team could really be a difference maker for them. I'm not really worried too much. I mean, they have a good O-line, but we have probably a top 3 or 4 O-line, D-line ourselves. I'm trying to think who I'm really worried about. Randy Gregory is going to be out for 4 games, I think. I mean, he said he's trying to reapply for reestablishment, but a reinstatement.
Reestablishment.
And then
Let me get some liquor here.
Irving is going to be out 4 games. And you know the Cowboys love to get suspended for 4 games, so you know how that goes. I'm trying to look here. Who could really be a threat? Byron Jones? Sean Lee? Let Skip Bayless tell you. I mean, I'd be surprised if Sean Lee makes it out of that game. I never wish injury on any player. I don't care who it is. I don't care what their personality is. I don't care about what they do in their free time, like how they handle the law and all that kind of stuff. I never wish an injury on any player. But when it comes to Sean Lee, it's borderline going to happen whether you wish for it or not. I just don't see... Demarcus Lawrence he's good. But I just don't see where who can really do any kind of damage against us this year. And I think with them having such a bad secondary, I'm looking at their secondary right now. This is going to be a good game for us to establish the run and then let Cam see. Can DJ Moore burn their corners? Let's see what Greg Olsen's going to do against their linebackers. Let's see what Torrey Smith. Let's see what basically anyone. Demir Bird, we can try out a few trick plays, I think, with our gadget players. We have obviously Demir Bird, we have Curtis Samuel. We have a lot of things we can do in our offense. And don't forget C.J. Anderson. Did I mention him already? And obviously, Christian McCaffrey. We can do so much with our offense against this defense. This is a good tester. This is a good, fifth week of the preseason. Now, we shouldn't sleep on
fifth week of the preseason
in the NFL. But this is like a fifth week of the preseason where we can still try things and tweak things without too much.
No, you didn't.
Except for Zeke in that O-line, because I'm just not convinced that Dak Prescott can get it done. But what do y'all think, man? I think this is going to be a good win for us. Should I do score predictions? This is going to be kind of hard to do without looking at the preseason. But I'm going to say we start off kind of slow. And
yeah, starting off kind of slow is right.
17-10 game. Panthers at home. We win this one. But what do y'all think, man? Let me know in the comments below. And you already know to do that like button.
Cheers to you. Appreciate it.
Okay. So, the Cowboys did have a terrible offensive season last year. I'll be honest with you. That's not what we really expected. We expected for the Cowboys offense to be rocking and rolling. So he does have a point there. We could say, well, we lost Tyron Smith. Our offensive line was in transition with Ron Leary and Doug Free gone. We could say that, we lost Zeke Elliott for 6 games. And when you looked at the numbers of where our offense was, you're right. We were 14th on offense. Not great. Nothing special. And saying Dak Prescott, he's a game manager, he definitely, second half of the season, did not do that good. I'll be honest. First half of the season, he was playing really good. Back when we had Zeke Elliott and when we had Tyron Smith and wasn't getting sacked 9 times by Atlanta. You'd expect more from your quarterback. It's not like the Carolina Panthers offense. That offensive juggernaut that he talks about there. Because he said, yeah, we had a good offensive line and you got Zeke Elliott, but our defense is super strong and we can negate that. And we've got nobody for wide receivers because, the Carolina Panthers do have great wide receivers. I know they drafted DJ Moore, but I got to tell you, take a look at what the first round wide receivers did last year in the NFL. They didn't bust a grape. It generally takes a year or 2 for guys to really start getting good as wide receivers. This is one of the reasons why you don't necessarily take one in the first round. Not too many of them come out like Odell Beckham. So, okay, I get you that. You got Torrey Smith and stuff like that. Okay, all right. And you got Cam Newton. And Cam Newton, he's a fantastic quarterback because, last year he had 22 touchdown passes and 16 interceptions. Compared to Dak Prescott, who had 22 touchdown passes and only 13 interceptions. Huh. And the Carolina Panthers offense last year was 19th? Wow. Okay. So it's on. We'll see what happens. We'll see if he's right about that this is basically going to be a preseason, a 5th preseason game out there. This was for one of you fans out there who sent me the link on this, so you wanted me to make sure I brought this up, and I had to bring it up because, see, this is one of those things that people will talk about how much we sucked. And yes, we did. I'm not saying I was satisfied with last year's offensive performance. I was not. Not at all. I want to see us do a lot better than what we did last year. I want to be able to run the hell out of the ball. I want to have run-pass options. I want to see Dak Prescott rolling out of the pocket on naked bootlegs. I want to see some creativity. I want to see a lot more than what we got from last year. I'm not satisfied with that. However, as bad as a lot of you guys think it is, and as bad as everybody out there in the talking heads try and make it out to be, it's not quite as bad as everybody thinks. Our offense was still ranked 14th. Think about that. As bad as we looked inept the second half of the season, we were still in the top half of the NFL in offense. Let me say that one more time. As bad as our offense was in the second half, without Zeke Elliott, without Tyron Smith being healthy, with Dak Prescott having a sophomore slump, we were still in the top half of the NFL in offense. So what do you think will happen if we have Zeke Elliott with his mind, not only on the field, but having his mind focused on playing football? Because even when Zeke was there, he wasn't quite there because it was, I've got to fly to New York for a hearing. I got to go meet with my attorneys. You know, if you're going through a divorce, you got problems at home, when you go to work, you're not on your A game. You are not on your A game. So even though he was there for 10 games, still got almost 1,000 yards. He still was not the same Zeke Elliott. And in fact, the first couple of games of the season that we were winning, Zeke was averaging under 4 yards a carry. Most people don't realize that. Most people don't realize that against Aaron Rodgers that Dak Prescott had 3 touchdown passes. Defense couldn't hold up. Scored 30 points against them, Aaron Rodgers. Okay, I mean, defense got to make a stop sometime. You had a couple of games back-to-back that you scored 30 points and lost. If you won one of those games, all of a sudden you're 10-6, you're in the playoffs, you've got a different narrative. So, things to be hopeful for this offense. Connor Williams. He's a rookie, but we've had rookie offensive linemen come out and do pretty good. If nothing else, you got depth. You got Cameron from New England, a swing tackle. If you lose somebody, you got backup. And now you got a little bit more speed, something you haven't had in quite a while. Mark, what that mouth do? How are we doing, Joe? I see Daniel. Now, see, Daniel, I busted out a lot of trolls and bandwagon fans and stuff. You definitely are not, because you are one of the few Giant fans that were here after you got your butt handed to you by our Cowboys. You, my friend, are a true New York Giant fan, and I can applaud you. It's the guys that come around only when their team is doing good. See, if your team loses and you don't see that person, that's a bandwagon fan. Because win, lose, or draw, I'm there right after the game. I'm there first thing Monday morning talking about what went wrong. I am there as a fan talking about my team, trying to figure out what we can do to finally get back to the Super Bowl. Sometimes you may not like what I have to say, but it's because I care about the team, and that's why I say it. How are you doing, Kristen? Stepson? Nibabro? 64? Football talk, okay. Rob Ramirez. Oh, you know what? I'm actually looking forward to looking at seeing what our wide receivers do, because I look back at 2016, and you'll remember that Dez was hurt to start the season. Dude, somehow they got to get controls on YouTube. Because I know that a bunch of you guys, Redmond Johnson, I know you got to be 12 years old. You're some dumbass kid that is looking for attention and so on. I mean, seriously. Understand, people, do me a favor. We have some lovely ladies. We got Sarah. We got Miss Jackie. We have some great ladies that come in here. We have some young kids that come in here that aren't crazy, doing stupid stuff. You can tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. You can tell me my quarterback stinks and stuff. But come on, let's try and keep it clean. Seriously. We're trying to have real discussions. There's plenty of channels out there that you can go do that stuff. I don't like to block people and kick people out and stuff because I believe in freedom of speech. But come on, man. Let's be real. Stuff's stupid. So, that's where we are with that. The perception is the Cowboys are the Cleveland Browns. They can't do anything offensively. And like I said, I wasn't satisfied with what they did. Just like they talk about our defense was terrible. The Cowboys' suspect defense. Well, okay. You do realize that they were 8th in total defense. Yes, we had some bad games when Sean Lee went out, but we were still 8th in total defense. 12th in scoring defense. How does that compare? Seattle was 13th in scoring defense. But you would think that defense, suspect. I don't hear him talking about Seattle's defense being suspect, do you? Where our team needs to achieve, and I have said this over and over and over again, is we got to get turnovers. If we get turnovers and we have the defense take a step or two ahead, oh, man, you got something there. Sandman, I talked about Randy Gregory's Instagram post yesterday where basically he was kind of being really, really positive. And that's one of those ones I'm wondering if he's gotten the word, yet it hasn't been announced by the NFL and he's supposed to keep hush-hush. Because you think about, allegedly, the team doesn't know when he's failed tests. At least that's my understanding, that the team is not necessarily notified of that. So it could be that the NFL has come back to him with some questions and talked about when this spouse is going to go through or whatever. By my calendar, it was the 16th that they went in on it. Mike Fisher said the 24th. It's supposed to take 60 days or less for the commissioner to decide. So sometime between the 16th and the 24th, you should definitely know from the NFL if he's going to be reinstated. Now, here's the thing. This is one of those things that's kind of crazy. The NFL, don't get me wrong. I live and breathe football, okay? Every day I'm talking about football. You guys know, you watch the videos. I am a football whore, as I put it. Can't get enough of it. 17 weeks of regular season is not enough. The playoffs, the Super Bowl, it's not enough. But the NFL does some stuff that's kind of messed up. I honestly think they need to leave the law and order with the judicial system. They shouldn't be the ones doing the investigations and so on. If somebody is busted for something and is convicted, then you deal with it. Because you're innocent until proven guilty. Now, as far as I can tell, at least in my mind, and the police department in Ohio, as well as the prosecutor, they couldn't find enough evidence to say that he should be charged with a crime and possibly made guilty. The NFL spent a year investigating, and their lead investigator, the only person who talked to the witness, couldn't find enough evidence. But yet the NFL believes they are smarter than the police department, the prosecutor, and their own investigator, and felt that he was guilty. Okay, all right, fine. Your policy was 6 games. If you have conduct unbecoming, you get 6 games. Then how the hell does Jameis Winston only get 3? Are you telling me that allegedly, if Zeke Elliott were convicted of domestic violence, are you saying that his domestic violence was greater than Jameis Winston assaulting somebody he didn't know? To me, they're the same. So how you get 6 games for Zeke, 3 for him? And what's even crazier, now we're talking about Randy Gregory, how is it smoking weed is worse than both of them that you got a year-long suspension? Let's think about this now. Domestic violence, sexual assault, smoking weed. Smoking weed. Man, can't have you. And I think I think, no, he was fixed. I pee freely. Okay? When you get old, you will be peeing freely. No, it's 6 games both ways. But they decided to kind of change it because it was 6 games with Josh Brown, too. But they only made it 1 game until it came out that, oh, you only gave him 1 game? And dude had a diary about basically abusing his wife for years. He got 1 game. 1 game. So they just kind of make it up on the fly. But back to the weed thing. I don't smoke weed. Never been one to, and that's fine. I mean, that's cool. You know, if you smoke weed, that's on you. But when you start thinking about some of the benefits that we're hearing about weed, you got people with cancer or cataracts and things like that. They're smoking weed because it's helping you. When you think about the pharmaceuticals that players are taking, and you think about some of the overdoses that we have, how is weed worse than some of those? I mean, I'm not pronouncing that correctly. The epidemic there, where you've got thousands of people dying every year from overdosing. You've had NFL players like Brett Favre, who was addicted to painkillers. Not that I'm here to defend any Redskin players, and now you guys will say I'm a bandwagger, but their tackle was busted for smoking weed, but he said he takes it because it helps him get past the headaches and the concussions. So if that is the reason for smoking it, you're saying that that's worse than actually taking prescription drugs? Isn't it about the same thing? Because Lord knows I have to pop ibuprofen 800 milligrams for my back and my knees and stuff left and right. You know, and it's real easy to get hooked on that stuff because when that pain starts kicking in, it's like, where's my meds? So we got 16 games for him, and we're hoping and praying that now he's got this whole, you know, basically NFL. Here is my 2,000-page report on what I'm doing to try and not smoke weed. Is Jameis Winston having to do anything to get back into the league? Anything? Does he have to write, you know, take any classes or do anything for the sexual assault? Because this is not the first thing that's happened with Jameis Winston. There's been other stuff that's got, you start looking at back in the background here, you see all kinds of stuff, you know, from the crab legs and everything else, and supposedly some money was paid by the school for assaults and stuff. So you start saying, wait a minute, wait. There's a history here. Was there a history with Zeke Elliott? But he got 6 games, Winston got 3. I remember. He's a Cowboy. That's right. If you're a Dallas Cowboy, you're the scum of the earth, and you get the full book thrown at you. Because that's the kind of things that make you kind of go, what the heck is going on? And it doesn't seem to make sense. So, sorry, I went off on a tangent there, but sometimes when you get old and you've had these concussions and stuff, you just kind of, you just got to roll with it. But Randy Gregory, I think he'll be reinstated because if he's not, if they say, no, we don't think you should be back for smoking weed, even though you've served 16 games, even though you've got teammates that are vouching for you, even though you have been clean and have not failed any more tests, and that you've gone there hat in hand, please, Mr. Commissioner, please, can I just play football? If you do not reinstate him after giving Jameis Winston a 3-game suspension, you really look like hypocrites. That's my thought. So he will be back. Now, the question, of course, Vosh and I kind of disagree. I think we need to tamp down some of the expectations. Because a lot of people are thinking, oh, man, he's going to come in, man, he's going to be a game changer. Hold it, pump the brakes. Pump the brakes a little bit. Let's see if we can get him out on the field for a season. If we get 2 sacks, 3 sacks out of him, it's more than what we got the last year. Don't put all these high expectations on a guy who has not played for in a year. If you get something out of him, fantastic. Great. You got more than you thought. But I believe he'll be reinstated. Now, I got a package here from Yvonne. Yvonne, my wife's looking at you kind of side-eyed. She's like, why are you getting all these packages? Yvonne, great fan. Yvonne sent the signs and stuff that I have over here. Handmade. I don't know what she sent me this time. And hopefully it's something I can open on air here. All right, here we go. Oh, perfect. Perfect. Yvonne, you been reading my mind? Dallas Cowboys checkers. This is cool, and I'll tell you why it's cool. Because, I've been working on the outdoor set, the outdoor man cave, and I'm making an extra table to go out there, a game table. And what I did was actually I'm making a checkerboard top for it, and I don't actually have checkerboard pieces to go with it. So this will be perfect because these are cowboy helmets. I'm wondering, I guess the opposition are what, Redskins? This is perfect. Thank you, Yvonne, so much for that. I appreciate all of you guys. You guys are fantastic. You make me truly feel blessed, and you make me want to be even better. So I'm not resting on my laurels. Every day I'm trying to figure out what can I do? What will be the next thing that'll make this show better? And with your guys' support, we're going to keep doing it. I don't know about you guys, but the season cannot get here soon enough. Oh, God, I can't wait. This past weekend, E2 Blue was over. We had some of the chicken wings. I've got a video on exactly how I made those things, and I got to tell you, man, not to toot my own horn, but God darn it, I can make one hell of a chicken wing. I can't wait for like a Sunday night game. It's a little cool, crisp air outside. We're sitting outside with the fire pit going, and we're live streaming to you guys during the game. Oh, it just seems so far away. Well, with that being said, we got some other stuff to talk about tonight. Here in D.C., the talk of the town for the Washington Failskins is the proposition of having Dez Bryant. And this is not new. A couple of months back, Michael and I went to a Legends golf tournament meet and greet that they had that was hosted by Bill Bates and, God, I can't remember the Redskin. Had some former Redskin players and, of course, the former Cowboy players. And one of the things they kept talking about was Dez Bryant coming to Washington. And we all know Dez wants to play the Cowboys twice because he's pissed off. The Redskins, of course, are famous for taking former Dallas Cowboy players and overpaying them to see them literally fall out in front of their eyes. What's happening, Alec? Oh, Alec. Alec knows about those chicken wings. Alec, I still have that clip of you just basically burning the heck up. Don't Dez to the Skins, don't hate. No, you know what? But here's the thing. I actually don't want Dez to go to the Redskins because it's not the way to end a career. The Washington Redskins, it's like being a quarterback in Cleveland. You go there with great hopes and expectations that I'm going to be the one that gets out alive. I'm going to be the one that succeeds. Yet it always ends up being like Charlie Brown trying to kick the football. It's always pulled away before he kicks it. In the history of Cowboy players going to Washington, it's not good. It's so bad even that Sports Talk 980 jokes about what Cowboy fans come there. Like, oh, we got the latest fail from Dallas for us. I mean, we had guys like James Washington. We've had guys, Deion Sanders, who was no longer prime time. He was past his prime. We've had Jason Hatcher. We've had Chris Canty. We've had, let's see, who else have we had there? I mean, it's just, the list goes on and on. Oh, Alvin Harper. Oh, Alvin Harper just straight stole money from him. They go there, they get paid, and then they're gone. David, not Gregory. Taco is a bust. I feel, no, you know what, Joe? I'm not going to give you that one. I'm definitely not going to give you that Taco is a bust. Understand this. I remember being in Philadelphia at that draft. Watching the draft go on, defensive linemen, defensive ends were flying off the board. Flying off the board. Cornerbacks, there were a lot of them that were still there. So the Cowboys kind of said, if we do not take one now, we probably are not going to be able to get one that's pretty good in the second round. So they kind of reached. But what Taco had is they have the size they like. The Cowboys have this thing, they like long defensive end, defensive linemen, okay? They like quick ones, guys that are about 290, 295, 285, about 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", and they like speed. Taco was very, very raw, had a lot to learn, but he has a lot of potential. The thing I remember from the Ram preseason game, watching him, was his first step was quick. Problem is he needed to work on his hands. He needs work. Second thing was, didn't get a lot of playing time, because when you drafted him in the first round, this time last year, what you were thinking was, Taco's going to have to start. Taco's going to have to be an impact player because we don't have anybody who's going to rush the passer. That's what everybody thought. When you drafted him in the first round, he's going to have to start day one because it's a need you had to fill. But lo and behold, a lot of people were saying that Demarcus Lawrence, this is last year, he's a bust. You remember that? Think back to this time last year. Don't say you didn't think that he wasn't a bust. Because you're talking about his rookie year, 2 sacks in the playoffs against the Lions. Then you were talking about 8 sacks his second year. You're like, okay, all right, this guy's got it. 8 sacks his second year. Remember, 2 sacks his first year. 8 sacks his second year. Third year, 4-game suspension, 1 sack, and then back surgery at the end of the year. So people were saying, bust. And don't act like you weren't. Because I was kind of like, I don't know, maybe he's not the guy. And lo and behold, 14 and a half sacks. So if you're judging him, at least as a rookie, he had 3 sacks. And those came in the second half of the season, and he wasn't a starter. People like to always compare him to T.J. Watt, and they don't exactly play the same position. And T.J. Watt played twice the snaps. So he got 3 sacks as a rookie. Tyrone Crawford, who started in front of him, you know how many sacks he got? Who played twice the amount of plays? So, as a rookie, not great, nothing to write home about. You got spoiled with Zeke and Dak. Not every rookie comes out gangbusters. Give the man time before you start labeling him a bust. And oh, by the way, that's 2 more sacks than Randy Gregory has in his career. Okay? Let me say it again. That's 2 more sacks than Randy Gregory, who everybody's pinning their hopes on, has in his career. I see we have Fear the Giant here, who told me, we'll just say, some very unpleasant things. And believe me, I ain't fearing the Giant. Not at all. Extreme archery. How are we getting guys that are busted? We haven't even been to training camp. You Redskin. Oh, we have a Redskin troll in here now. Oh, Lordy. I don't understand how I get so many fans of other teams. What is it about you guys that draws you in here? Because I'd like to know what it is. Do I need to get some insect repellent or some Raid or something? This is a Dallas Cowboys channel. I can't wait to see the wall of Van Der Esch and Lee. Oh, man, I tell you what. If there's anything that makes you feel better right now, because, basically with our defense, very rarely do we have 3 linebackers out there at a time. The fact that you have Van Der Esch, who's a rookie, he's going to have a learning curve. You got to feel better about our linebacking core right now. The fact that Jalen Smith at the moment isn't working with the brace anymore. He said he may end up wearing the brace, depending on how it goes. But right now, he's not. He, in fact, lost the brace there for most of training camp. Now, Fear the Giant, I am not scared of you, my man. Yes, if you're going to say just straight up BS and disrespectful to people, yes, I will block you. Because I've gotten comments from people that I know are true fans of people who actually want to talk about football. This is not a, I just hate you, kiss my blank to blank, blank to blank site. If you want to talk about, say, hey, look, the Cowboys stink. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm okay with that. If you want to have an argument about why my team is not good and bring me some statistics and some numbers and prove your argument, I am fantastic with that. Maybe because you talk shit about us, dumb bitch, don't dish. Oh, Lordy. See? Yeah. I'll go ahead and show that comment, Fear the Giant. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's one of the great things about football, Fear the Giant, and maybe you haven't been around long enough to understand, is half of the fun of football is actually talking trash about each other's team. I didn't say you were anything. I didn't call you any names. I'm just talking about some of those fans who used to be here when their team was winning, who don't come around. Because, see, here's the thing. I take it all. If they win, I expect you to congratulate me. Say, hey, your team did great. Congratulations. Because I will tell you, if your team does good, because believe me, the Eagle fans know I've given them props for winning the Super Bowl. But if your team stinks and you're going to come in and talk trash when your team wins, be man enough to come in when they lose. And that's exactly what you Giant fans did, with the exception of guys like Daniel. I'll respect a fan who is there 24/7. Now, if you're one of those cockroaches who only comes around when your team wins, then yes, I was talking about you. Because every team has some of those fans that are fair weather fans that only come around when their team is winning. They will dish it out, but they won't take it when they lose. Now, if that is your attitude, you do not have to be here. And that's exactly what I was talking about. Because we have legitimate people who like to come in here and talk about football without all of the straight out hate and trash that is out in the rest of the world. Okay. All right. Has anybody else had enough of Fear the Giant? I fear the Giant is going to bore us to death. How's that? That's what I fear. Ignore the trolls. Keep it clear. Thank you, Anita. Again, another one of the lovely ladies in here. And apparently, Fear the Giant doesn't know anything about trying to keep the ladies happy. He's just a trash mouth. Any word on Randy Gregory? Only the Instagram post that he did, basically kind of saying that he's blessed and that he is hungry. That he is so hungry, he said, it's like when you know you're so hungry, it feels like your stomach is collapsing. That's how he feels about wanting to get back on the football field. Thank you, Theron. I appreciate that. Are we getting Earl Thomas? Good question. The Cowboys have an offer out there to them. Apparently, this love-hate relationship that's been hot and cold. Right now, the Seattle Seahawks are playing hard to get. You've heard Earl Thomas basically say, I'm going to be at somebody's training camp at the end of July. I don't think Earl Thomas is going to come in. That's my feeling. I think Earl Thomas realizes that the end is near with Seattle. Seattle has moved on from the Legion of Boom, and with Cam Chancellor now also retiring or or just not coming back to football at the moment, losing him, Cliff Averill, Michael Bennett, Chris Richard, and starting over, you haven't worked out in that system with the new coach or anything. You haven't been around those new guys and stuff. You are now kind of an outsider. From the moment that you went to the Cowboys locker room, I believe that it was over with. And he wants to have some security, and I can't say I blame him. When you think that Cam Chancellor is retiring because of a hit, when you think of Cliff Averill, one hit, they're out of football. What happens if he gets that one hit and he's on the last year of that contract? It's done. It's over with. Now, personally, I'd be happy with $8.5 million. I could be okay to live the rest of my life on $8.5 million, but that's not the point. It's football, and you've got to get what you can get while you can, and that's why he doesn't want to show up for a one-year contract. He knows I'm a piece of toilet tissue for them. They're going to use me, wipe the rear end, and flush me at the end of the season. So why go there? They're starting over. Their window for the Super Bowl is past. They're starting to build a new team. And when that team is ready to win, I'm going to be past my prime and probably out the door. So do I want to stay there? So the question will be is, how much does he want to go ahead and hold out? How ugly will the Seattle Seahawks get? Sean Lee, I can't disagree with you, Alan. Alan is actually a decent Eagle fan, and I can't believe I even said that. Sean Lee does get hurt, misses a few games every year. However, when Sean Lee is playing, it's a difference on that defense. When he's out there, he is good as anybody else that's out there. I mean, you could go through with our buddy with Carolina talking about their strengths, and he's talking about Sean Lee. Talk about Kuechly. Mr. Concussion himself. He misses several games every year as well. But you don't go ahead and get rid of a guy who can play lights out for 10, 11, 12 games. What you do is you plan for the games that he's not going to be there. And that's what I think they did with getting Van Der Esch. Because then you can kind of say, okay, this game's won, let's take Sean Lee out. Or if he's going to end up missing a game or two because of hamstring or concussion, you can have him sit, and you're not going from up here down to here with backups. And that, my friends, is the reason why we did not make the playoffs. We did not have depth. And if there's anything I'm happier about besides Chris Richard, and that is the fact that we finally got some depth on this team. Wingman, you saw they didn't have him work out much in OTAs. It's not like Sean Lee has got one of the highest football IQs out there. Sean Lee is actually correcting the coach and letting him know what you're asking for can't be done, and this is why it can't be done. The coach looks like he's dumping. Fear the Giant, how old are you? Thank you, Navarro. I should take Skip Bayless's job. I don't know if I could handle being around Skip, Mr. Ed all day. I would just go crazy with man, can't you speak right? Cowboys going 7-9. Well, if that had been the Giants last year, you probably would have been happy since you were 3-13. Kona Ely. That's the interesting thing that we have with Rod Marnelli. Rod Marnelli ends up taking guys that people have given up on or people that you don't think much about, and he's gotten them paid. Kona Ely is one of those guys that, he's bounced around. He's had a cup of coffee with New England and different places, was highly touted, just like Jihad Ward, but just did not seem to find it. I always use George Selvey, and I loved George Selvey. George Selvey was one of the nicest guys you'd ever meet. But he was one of those guys. He bounced around from Atlanta, New Orleans, Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, and had 3 sacks in 4 years. Under Rod Marnelli, he had an 8-sack season. Went to New York, got paid, and went back to nothing. Jason Hatcher, a guy who was a 3-sack-a-year guy under Rod Martinelli, had 11 sacks, went to Washington, got paid, went back to 3 sacks. So you can see a guy like Ward or Kona Ely getting some real coaching under Rod Martinelli and stepping up. And I think one of the two of those guys will. You know, David Irving wasn't anybody feared when we signed him off the practice squad, was he? Hold on, let me handle some business here. There we go. Chris Gordon, Eli sucks. You know what? I got to tell you, I think the Giants screwed up by not going for a quarterback early. I know Barkley is good and all that, but I got to tell you, Eli's time is very short. Quarterbacks get old overnight, and Eli Manning had gotten to the point last year whenever he felt pressure, you could see him head straight for the turf. Do I think we'll acquire, outside of Earl Thomas, any players before training camp? Well, what the Cowboys usually do is they do sign people, and it's never really any big-name players. It's more of like depth or role players on the team. But they usually wait till the end of training camp before they go. They like to go through training camp and see how the guys they have are going to develop. And I think they're going to definitely do that. Right now, actually, part of the urgency, I think, for Earl Thomas has actually waned a little bit because they're looking at Kevon Frazier as well as Xavier Woods and saying maybe they're a little bit better under Chris Richard than what we're thinking. I think they would still like to get an Earl Thomas, and I think that they may still try and get a veteran safety as a backup as well, just in case, because you're still kind of thin. I mean, you got Jeff Heath, Kevon Frazier, and you've got Xavier Woods back in there, and you're moving one of your cornerbacks to kind of play a little bit of safety as well. So you're still kind of thin there. I still, of course, the other spot we all know that I would like to do something with would be a nose tackle. I'd like to have a big, fat guy in there, but the Cowboys don't believe it. This is Cowboy 14-2. This is Cowboys year. Well, this should be because, if for nothing else, Jason Garrett's on the hot seat. Whenever Jason Garrett's been on the hot seat, the Cowboys end up responding. Not in the playoffs, but they end up having really good seasons to save his job. And I feel like that's coming. And he'll get a contract extension. Is Tapper gone? If Gregory comes back, I think Tapper's gone any which way you slice it. He just has not performed and stayed healthy like they've wanted, and I think there's just too many guys that are there right now. I mean, between Tyron Crawford, between Kona Ely, between Jihad Ward, not to mention, you know, you've got Demarcus Lawrence in the mix, you've got Brian Price, you've got, oh boy, my guy from Green Bay. God, I'm having a brain fart. But you've got a lot of guys, and there's going to be a short list. You're not going to carry all of them. So I think Tapper is definitely gone. Collins, hopefully Collins' foot is ready by the end of camp as well. I think they're working on Earl Thomas' contract secretly. Well, it's not really a contract. It's really more of a trade. The contract you can do after you make the trade for him. But Sheila, I would, you know, it's too quiet on that front from Seattle's point of view. I still think, I've said it all along, that I think he will be a Dallas Cowboy. He will not be a Seattle Seahawk. If Garrett doesn't win at least 2 playoff games this year, he's gone. Yeah, okay. We'll see. I think if they make the playoffs and win a game, then he's definitely going to be here. Am I going to actually have a Cowboys blog on someday? Oh, boy. Oh, am I going to have Cowboys blog on someday? Yes, actually, I need to. Actually, Cowboys blog was supposed to get back with me. I met him actually at the draft. I keep forgetting. I'm old and forgetful. I got so much stuff that's going on between my marriage, my YouTube channel, my day job, I get forgetful and people don't remind me because I keep everything in my head so it gets lost. People don't remind me and say, send me a text message. So if you actually talk to Cowboys blog, say, hey, poke Mark, hit him up with a text message or a comment so that way he can remember, because I don't. Because I talked to him before about doing some stuff together and I just forget. See, now that's a delusional fan right there. Extreme Archery, Redskins 16-0. You heard it here first. Yeah, okay. Do I think the Cowboys will cut Tyrone Crawford? No, they won't cut him this year. Basically, you're not going to save any money by cutting him this year. So what it'll be is this will probably be Tyrone Crawford's last year. If you're cutting him next year or after the season, you get some cap relief and things like that. And I think they're still looking at it and saying, we don't know how well Collins' foot's going to be. He did have it operated on in January, ended up breaking it again in OTAs. You don't know if he's going to be able to hold up, so you hold on to a Tyrone Crawford. Kristen, what are you smoking? Extreme Archery. You're right about that one. Well, here's the thing that I commented on, did a video just before we went live, that I love about Dak Prescott. And I know there's some of you guys that just think that he's the worst thing in the world and you want to get rid of him. But the fact that he basically came out and was saying, listen, I'll do what's necessary. I'm going to surmise this. I'll do what's necessary for our team. I want to be able to take care of my family and everything else, but I don't want to have a contract that's so big that we can't get players to win. So it means that I need to take a shorter contract, to give some relief so that way we can keep key players or get key players on the team. I'll do that. I'll do what's in the best interest of myself as well as the team. You don't hear a lot of players that are saying that. Did you hear Matty Ice say something like that when they gave him that $100 million extension? No. He gets it. He's a team leader, and he wants to win. And I believe he is going to bring a Super Bowl back to Dallas. Now, you can call me crazy. You can say I've stole Joe Boo's rum. I don't care what you say, but that's what I believe in. And I've believed in the guy from the first time I saw him at the Senior Bowl. Wingman, Extreme Archery. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. Oh, man. Michael was scratching. I have to go back on the live stream and see that. Or maybe I don't need to see that. Navabro, you're right about it. I tell you what, the fact that in the Atlanta game that he could keep getting up after getting hit over and over and over again, right there alone, that should make you feel better. As many times as we've seen Tony Romo go, every time Tony Romo went to the ground, you were like, is he going to get up? Is this going to be the one that's going to take him out for the season? You're going to see a good Dak Prescott this year. It was love at first sight. Yeah, it definitely was. I fell in love with his style. To be honest with you, a lot of the things he was doing reminded me of Tony Romo, the way he moved around the pocket and bought more time. Wow, it is 10 o'clock already. In a way, you guys kind of lucked out tonight because my wife's plane was supposed to land at 10:50, and I was going to have to leave the show early to go pick her up. Unfortunately, the airline screwed up, delayed the flight, and when she landed, wasn't enough time to get to the connecting flight. So now she's going to be at the airport most of the night and won't be in until 7 a.m. in the morning. So with that being said, though, it's 10 o'clock. And I want to thank everybody who tuned in to the Joe Boo Sports Report. I appreciate all the great comments and stuff by the real fans and things in here. From the trolls, not so much. But hey, I guess it takes trolls to make the makes the world go round. I'm pretty sure anyone would go quarterback over tight end. That's probably true. Dak Attack is on fire. It's lit. But with that being said, guys, I do need to get ready to go to bed because I am old and get ready for another day. But as always, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. We only have 68 days, 18 hours, 23 minutes, and 20 seconds until we take on the Carolina Panthers. Have a